In today's world, our time is at a tremendous premium, and optimizing it is key. And actually, if you were to go back to my office, you would see a tremendous amount of material on how do I make best use of my time, what do I do. At Eagles Flight, we have courses on optimizing time, taming time, beyond time management. We have a tremendous amount of content around how do I optimize my productivity in the time I have available. But I would like to share with you something which in its simplicity is amazingly powerful. I shared this with a very good friend who's actually extremely senior, and he kind of looked at me and said, okay, really, Phil? I mean, is that really what you mean? I go, absolutely. This is what I really mean, and this is what I do. So he said, well, it's useful, so I thought maybe I would share it with you. Let me share the model with you first. What you see here is a pyramid, or triangle, if you will, and this triangle represents my to-do list. And so you will see that you've got 1, 2, and 3 at the top, and that represents my to-do list, which could have 30 things on it. And then a dotted portion below, 4, 5, and 6, and that represents the things that come in to be done after I've created my to-do list. So you get the to-do list, then you get, okay, all this other stuff comes in. And you'll see an arrow coming up that says number 1, and then you'll see an arrow that comes out that says number 2. So that's the model. You have the initial priorities that come in, and then a 1 and a 2. Let me show you how to apply the model. The first, make a comprehensive to-do list. Phil, really? Yes. Now, when I say comprehensive, I mean comprehensive. Personally, I don't think you should put your whole life on a single to-do list. I tend to think of a work life and a personal life outside of work. I have 2 lists, but let's just talk within the work context. I believe people get confused and it gets so complicated because they've got a list for projects, they've got a list for their boss, they got a list of stuff that's got to be done today, they got a list of stuff that's got to be done next week, then they have another list that they want to do sometime, then they have a list for the team that they're on. I go, yeah, firstly, just even holding all that stuff in your head is, I don't know how you do that. But just one list. And I go, okay, but Phil, wait a minute, one list, it's got, some things are simple, some things are complicated. Yes, I know, I understand that. And I'm happy to spend more time talking about managing the complexity. But for the moment, I would say make a comprehensive to-do list. And the operative word is comprehensive. For this process to work, your list has to have everything on it. And I just keep a running total of the things that come in. If somebody phones, I got to do something, write it down. Someone asks me to do something, write it down. I think I want to do something, write it down, it's on my list. Then I frequently juggle it so the most important things are at the top and the least important things are at the bottom. Now, when I was sharing this with my friend, he said, frequently, how often? I said, well, I probably do it 2 or 3 times a day. 2 or 3 times a day? I said, yes, you see this word frequently? You have to juggle it 2 or 3 times a day. Certainly if you're a leader, and even if you aren't a leader, you might have to juggle it twice a day. Stuff is happening at a horrendous rate. In the old days, if I wanted to do something, I did something and I put it in the mail and I shipped it off and I waited for the person at the other end to get it and then do something and put it back in the envelope and ship it back, and it was like 2 weeks from the time I did something to the time I got the feedback. Now it's like 2 seconds. So the world is changing so fast around us. Tasks coming in, the world, information coming in, tasks coming in, things getting done, things getting, new people giving me information, that it's almost naive for me to think that the way my day begins, it's going to end. And even if you're a very senior executive, I mean, I run a company, and I still have stuff happening around me all day. It's not like I can sit in an ivory tower and say, well, everyone else is looking after all that. Nothing new happens today. The world is constantly feeding me information, data, tasks, decisions. So I have to juggle my to-do list frequently. And I'm juggling it, excuse me, to put the most important things at the top and the least important things at the bottom. That's not easy to do, because sometimes the most important things take 10 minutes and sometimes they take a couple of hours. So there's another whole module on how do I manage my time, but let's just concentrate on how do I handle this to-do list. If we do not put the most important things at the top, then they don't get done. And if we don't do the most important things first and they don't get done, we are not optimizing our productivity. Now, there are times when the most important things are not the things that we want to do. they're like, oh, I really don't want to do that now. And I'd like to do this. This is more urgent. Yeah, but this is more important. I should be doing this. So because my list is comprehensive and I'm scanning it 2 or 3 or 4 times a day, I'm always making sure the most important things are always getting done. Now, does that mean at the end of the day stuff goes undone? Sure. But the stuff that goes undone is always the least important. The third thing is, now that I have got the most important things at the top, I always have to do them first. Now, it's great on the days when I come in and my to-do list doesn't juggle that much. There's not that much coming in, and when I look to juggle it, the 1, 2, and 3s stay 1, 2, and 3. That's often the case. It's not that they're always in constant flux. It's not that this list is in constantly changing and I'm having to move, but there are times when stuff comes in and goes up, or my initial 4 or 5 or 10 priorities for something during the day causes me to something that I thought was number 5, I've got to put it up to number 2. So the issue isn't that when you look at this, you go, I'm constantly going to be juggling my to-do list. No, your to-do list is going to be what it is. But you are going to be constantly looking at it to make sure that the most important things are at the top and that you are doing them. So if you look at the model, number 1, I'm always checking to make sure the most important things at the top, and very often they are, and then I'm always doing those first. And if we do that, we truly optimize our performance on the job.